Does anybody like to share what your table talked about or an insight to what this quote might mean? Yes, ma'am.
I thought that it meant like stereotypes, like what you think, what you believe someone is, with, you know, that type of belief.
Okay. So what you believe, what you're saying is that that sometimes what people see is based on stereotypes that they might have of somebody or something. So if you have a stereotype of one type of person and I have another, and we might be looking at the same person, but we're seeing two different people. Right?
Yeah.
Does anybody else have something they'd like to add to that?
Well, I think the gentleman at our table, one gentleman I won't, name. There's only one. He made a really good point. A lot of our belief system, I think, comes from our wounds.
Comes from our
Wounds, when
Wounds.
we've been hurt. It
absolutely.
kind of helps form our beliefs.
Some of our beliefs come from our wounds, what we have experienced or feel. So it goes back to what our table had said, that our beliefs, our life experiences shape what we actually see and what we hear. So there are 25 of us in this room, and we can have one person come in here and we can have 25 different evaluations of that person. In the last group, we talked about our evaluation system, and it's called judging. And somebody had made a comment that they don't judge, and I challenged that thinking. We spoke last spring about our unconscious bias, our neuroscience, and that we are neurologically engineered to make judgments, because judgments were what saved our lives, and we do it based on the way people look, the way they sound. Do they look like me? Do they sound like me? So we are neurologically engineered to seek out people who sound like us, look like us, and act like us, because that meant safety. So judgment is a big piece to it. The next thing I'd like to show you is that when I talk about our beliefs, what I'm really talking about is our lens in life. And I liken this to this picture because I think it's a nice way to look at a lens of life. This is a picture of one specific woman, and there are 10 pictures of her. And the picture's not exactly the same, meaning her pose isn't the same, but there are 10 different lenses on the camera. Remember when I said there's 25 of us in here? And so we might all have 25 different views? It's the same for this photo. It's like we're a camera. Whatever lens I have on me is the lens that I see. And I make assumptions about that. I can even make assumptions about this person based on my lens of life. And I did that the very first time I saw it. It's kind of hard to see in here, but this person, I was like, she's probably middle class, upper class, entitled, beautiful. And yet down here in the left-hand corner, I was like, lower class, middle class, might be apt to use illicit drugs. So just by changing the lens of a camera, we change the view of a person, just like us. Whatever lens we've been brought up in is the lens that we look through life at. Would you guys agree with that? Thanks. So what I would like to ask you is this. And I'm going to give you an example. When I talk about the lens of life, I look at lenses as different things. There are different types of lenses that we all hold. Okay? Different types of values that we hold. And so I'm going to give you an example of one of the lenses that I look through every now and then. And the lens I look through is age. I look through a lens at some people and I say to myself before I can even catch it, you should know better. You should know better. You've lived a longer life. One of the other things that I hear about ageism is they're 70, they're 80, it's too late to change. And that's not true. So I look through a lens of age. When I look at somebody coming to me, I might change how I react to their behavior. If I see somebody who's elderly, I might be more apt to be supportive and try to help carry groceries or hold a door. If I see somebody who's 13, I may not hold the door for them. So a lens I see through is called age sometimes. Is there another lens that somebody might see through that I can write down? Clothing. So how about our appearance? So another lens is our appearance. And someone is saying no, but I guarantee you will. If you park your car down in St. Louis City and somebody walks by in a nice three-piece suit carrying a briefcase, you probably won't think anything about it. But let somebody come by who looks homeless, you check to see if your car door is locked. What else?
Personality.
Personality. Sometimes we forgive people's behavior because we say, oh, that's just part of their personality. Whereas we may not forgive another person that same behavior.
I don't know how we would label this, but I was talking to someone and they were saying that people have a problem with the way that they speak, but it's because his voice like protrudes, like it's very loud. So like, I don't know what you.
How about this? Very good. Oh. Their accent, if they talk Southern, they must be redneck. If they're unintelligent, if they talk loud, they must be angry. So, what might be another lens that we see through?
Vibe.
Say what?
Vibe / like aura people give off, like like it could be body movements or like she said vibe.
Vibe, gotcha.
Or aura. And body movement. That's
Oh, you're going to give me a word that I'm not sure how to spell, but I'm going to go with it.
That's fine.
Their vibe, their aura. If they look angry, if you look angry, lock the door. It could be, there are some people that have permanent nasty face, and they're the nicest people in the world.
The resting.
Yeah, I should have said it too.
They look unapproachable because they always have resting face. I'm not going to say it. What's another one?
Gender. Gender.
Gender.
Gender.
Gender, thank you.
Now you're just sexist.
Gender's a huge one. My son, his favorite color when he was a kid was pink and purple. My daughter's was green and blue. By the time they were both in 5 years of age, they had switched it. And we tried very hard. We did not have any color issues in our house. But when they went to their school with their classmates, boys had been taught by their dad that boys don't like pink and purple. And my son wanted to fit in, so he nixed it. So there's a lot of different expectations for gender. Anything else?
Sex.
Sex? Thank you.
That's gender.
Isn't that the same thing as gender?
Not unless you're
How about this? I think I know where you're going.
Yeah.
Your sexuality.
elaborate.
Very much so.
Sexuality. Some people's beliefs are that homosexuality and lesbian is a sin, therefore they're not a person worthy of being on the earth. And so, therefore, that's a lens they see through. They won't find value in somebody who has that sexuality.
What's wrong with purple?
What's wrong with what?
Purple.
Purple's a unisex color.
What's wrong with purple?
No.
Purple?
He was Darcy likes purple.
I like purple. Anything else? So, I want to go real quickly through some of the lenses. We identified some really good ones, but we missed several of them. So, and this is not all inclusive, meaning that there are more to our lenses than this. We have ageism. We have our body size. We make assumptions that someone who's heavy or large is lazy. Our learning styles, our religion, our gender, we're special education drivers, our disability, our economics, social economics. Poor people are poor because they don't try hard enough. Family background, culture, appearance, and you know I don't believe that. I'm just giving you examples. Our role, our position. I'm just a bus driver. Our politics, our personality, Our status. I'm a mother. I know more than you. You don't have a kid. My race, my language. I'm educated. I went to college. I know more than you. And I know a lot of people who didn't go to college that know a heck of a lot more than I do. Life experiences has taught them that. These are some of the lenses that we see through every day unconsciously. And again, those lenses are developed through our life experiences. One of the things that our kids do that we as adults don't take a lot of time doing is doing identity maps. You know, our kids, I might have done it at least 2 or 3 times in elementary school. I know they did a lineage or heritage. They also do identity map. I'm a sister. I have 2 dogs. I go to church. I like green. I believe in butterflies and unicorns. Those kind of things. They take the time to evaluate their character traits, their identity. And like I said, as we get older, we don't take that time as much. One of the things my professor told me that has stuck with me all these years, and this was when I was 19 or 20, she said, Jerry, if you don't ever talk about your values, identify your values, and share your values, and have conversations around them, she goes, you'll never know if they're right. You'll never know if they're good enough. And you'll never know if they're making if you're making good decisions through those values. So she said, you always want to be aware of what you value, and you want to put it out there and share it with people to see if it stands the test. And some of us hold our values very quiet because we're not comfortable with that. We might realize that our values might not be great. And that's hard at the age of 52. It's hard to think that a value that I've had for 30 years might not be that great.
That's very personal.
Pardon?
Very personal.
It's very personal. It's very personal. And that's what this is really about right now, is our identity map is very personal. So what I want us to do is we're going to take a moment to look at and identify the lens that we see through. And it's very easy. You do not need to share what you come up with anybody, but I am going to ask that you do the practice. So if you need a pen or pencil, let me know. And what you'll do is this. There are 3 pieces to your identity that we are going to call your given, and my lovely assistant, Vanna, will be handing out that worksheet. Your given, your chosen, and your core. And so before you start to look at your paper, I want to go over them with you, okay? So the first one that is probably the most important is your core. It wasn't given to you, per se. It's probably a mixture of given and chosen because you're brought up in your core most often. It's your value. It could be something like, I'm a spiritual person. Now, I am a spiritual person. I believe that there's something there. I'm not sure what it is all the time. But the one thing about my core is, if something were to happen to my 2 children and my husband, and they were to be taken from me, my spiritual core could be changed. I could find no value in God because I wouldn't understand how we would allow this to happen. So my personal traits, I'm an introvert. I'm an extrovert. And that's something that I have to look at what my professional career is. Because if I had to work by myself, it would be very hard. I like to talk, I share, I learn from experience. And so when I think about, could I change from extrovert to introvert? Yes. If I was put in solitary confinement for 2 or 3 years, it would change my core. It would break me. So my core could change a little bit, but for the most part, it's pretty strong. The next one is chosen. That could be your religion. And it's going to come as a shock. Most of you probably know this, though. You can go to church, but you can also not believe in a God. Some people go to church for the community aspect of it, because people sound like them, they have good values, they look like them. They go for the community aspect of it. Your job is a chosen. your affiliation, your political affiliation. Your friends are your chosen. You choose your friends. And then lastly is your given. And again, it's your race. I'm white. My height. Right now, given is my age. I'm 52. It is my health. It's my generation. I don't even know what, I'm not a millennial. I don't know. I don't pay attention to those things. My physical characteristics. My family. I am a son. I cannot change that. I had a mom. I'm also a brother. I cannot change that. I'm also an uncle. I can't change that. Those are given to me. And when we're talking about right now my socioeconomics, I can change that. But for right now, my socioeconomics is what it is. So take about 2 minutes, go through that worksheet. Is there any questions I should ask real quickly? Take about 2 minutes, think about what you're chosen, given, and core.
You want it to be detailed, right?
No. Pardon?
You want it to be detailed, like detailed?
It's whatever you're comfortable with. Just spend some time thinking about your lens, how you might look through life.